Thank you, David. Thanks for the introduction. Just made me sound a little bit cooler than I am, so I appreciate that. Hey, great to be here. It's awesome. Quick question: did anyone eat their cheesecake yet? How was that thing? I think it was bigger than my head. Pretty good? Yeah? Alright. Hey, I'm going to jump right into my story here. I'm going to talk about a time that I was in Hawaii. Has anyone here been to Hawaii before? Alright, almost everyone. Has anyone here not been to Hawaii before? Alright, still everyone. I just can't see really well. Hey, so I was in Hawaii a couple years ago. I was 132 miles into a race. And this race, it wasn't all running. I'm not that tough. It was the Ironman triathlon. Is anyone familiar with the Ironman? Alright, if you're not familiar with it, I just explain it as a long day. It's a long day. You wake up, you eat some breakfast, then you start the race. It's 2.4 miles of swimming, 112 miles of biking, and then a marathon, 26.2 miles. You have 17 hours to do it, to be called an Ironman, and it's 140.6 total. So I'm 132 miles into it. I'm already done with the swim. In my head, I was Michael Phelps ripping through the Pacific Ocean, right? But I saw a video the next day, that wasn't the case. Like a giraffe in a bathtub. But I'm done with the swim. Done with the bike ride as well. I don't know if we have any cyclists here. 112 miles, it was hard. The first half was hard, the second half was really hard. But done with the bike ride. Now I'm 18 miles into the marathon. Has anyone here run a marathon before? All right, wow, quite a few. How about a half marathon? Oh, even more. How about a 5K? All right. Okay. Has anyone walked outside of their house and went around the block once? Okay. All right. So we got it. I've never done that. I'm just saying that's probably what it feels like, right, David? I'm just kidding. But it really felt awesome. Then I did the next best thing. I ate a peanut butter and jelly Uncrustable sandwich, which is delicious. I know when I was little, I had to get my mom to cut the crust off. Now they sell them that way. That was genius. Has anyone ever had one of those things? Alright, I had strawberry jam. Truth is, I wasn't hungry. My stomach was upset, but although my body was giving up, I'm still going through the motions as if I'm going to finish this race. That thing had 210 calories, and I knew I needed those calories. So I'm munching on this sandwich, and I'm hanging out there with Jason and my prosthetics sitting next to me, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, yeah, actually, Hawaii's pretty nice. This is definitely mine. I looked down at my limb, and it was swollen. I was probably sitting down for 7-8 minutes and just all the fluid went to it, and I just remember that feeling. Like I really had to muster some energy to try to do that, and that failed. I felt defeated. I felt absolutely defeated. I hung my head and I sat there and wondered, what am I going to do? And I asked myself a few questions. The first question was, how did I get myself into this? That was my choice to go do this Ironman. I don't know if you've ever taken on like a task or a mission or volunteered for something, and halfway through you're like, man, this is harder than I thought it was going to be. What was I thinking? I asked myself that question. And then there were people kind of running by, and I saw them running, and I started to think, who would ever do more than one of these things? That was my second question. I was mad at people who ran multiple Ironmans at that point. I was angry. Every part of me wanted to quit. Every part of me wanted to quit. This was my first attempt at running the Ironman triathlon. And I'm going to come back to that story, but if you realize there's some bad things going on. I'll come back to the end, but we're taking a step out. There's some bad things going on. I'm in pain. I can't get my leg on. That's a bad day. Do we happen to have any Marines with us? Familiar with Navy? Yeah, you guys familiar with West Point? Yeah, we're like West Point, but way better. Yeah. I played rugby there. Cool sport. Has anyone played rugby before? Yep. If you like to drink beer and hit people, you should check it out. It's a lot of fun. I studied mechanical engineering, and I'm glad I did, because the most important thing that happened to me at the Naval Academy, I met my wife. She was also studying mechanical engineering, and I'd go to her for help in all my coursework. Not because I cared about my grades anymore, I just thought she was really cute. And the strategy paid off. Graduated 2006. I was commissioned an officer in the United States Marine Corps. She was commissioned an officer in the United States Navy. Started a family, got married, larger than myself, and that's what I hold on to. And I don't know what that school looks like, but I know that there are a lot of kids that experienced it, and if one of them has hope and moves forward and makes a difference in their country, then it was worth it to me. We were there for a couple months. On December 9th, in 2000. So that's why we left so early, and we did our patrol. It was like a 5-hour patrol walking around, and
Every time I tell this story, the patrol gets a little bit longer. I could do that as my story, right? I'm just kidding. Yeah, but we're finishing up the 6-hour patrol and we're heading back to our patrol base. By this time, I was carrying like 300 pounds, right? But it was hard. Each and every day was hard when we was fatigued and we're heading back, and that's when I stepped on an IED, an improvised explosive device, and I triggered an explosion underneath my right foot. And I remember the experience very vividly, very vividly. I didn't know what had happened at first because I was dazed. I had a little concussion, but it was a violent force that just picked me up and threw me to the ground. I didn't hear the explosion because my ears were ringing so loudly. I heard a pop, like you're opening a can of Coca-Cola, and then my ears were just ringing. I felt like I was underwater because I couldn't hear anything, and life was just in slow motion. I felt wetness on my left leg, up pretty high, not with my hands because I had gloves on. I just felt that sensation, and I didn't feel pain, and my senses were like, they were working hard. I could smell chemicals. I could taste the dust that had landed like on my lips. I tried to open my eyes and I saw brown, and that's when I started putting things together. I said, okay, I'm in Afghanistan. I couldn't see the sky because of the smoke and dust, and it's like, oh, man, a second ago there's a beautiful blue sky without a cloud in it, and now it's covered with smoke and dust. I knew it happened. I can't believe it. I just stepped on an IED. I knew I was bleeding. I still wasn't feeling any pain. I thought that could be it. And two thoughts went through my head. And the first thought, I thought I was going to get to go to heaven. And I think it's just something I had prepared myself for, and I'm a Christian. I think heaven's going to be cool, and it wasn't necessary. It wasn't a scary thought. I was just like kind of accepting it. And then I pictured my wife and my daughter. That was my second thought. And that's when I got scared. And as I'm thinking about them, my corpsman, our medic, came running up to me, and he started treating me. And he started taking care of me, because that's what we do. We take care of each other. So it was my corpsman and I and our Afghan soldiers, and there were two Marine units, two small Marine units out in the same area, and everyone came to us. And the mission changed from what we were doing to saving my life. And immediately another Marine stepped up and took charge, because I was the senior ranking guy there. He took charge, and everyone had a mission and a responsibility. One group immediately went out to set up security. Another group knew we had to get a helicopter in, so they went to find a place for one to land, and they had to clear it of IEDs. And just everything is happening. Each and every Marine on the deck had a responsibility, and I'm grateful that each and every Marine decided to take on the responsibility and do it. And if you find yourself unengaged, then you find a place to fit in so you can add value to the team, and that was happening. And each of our units, we had never worked together, but because we train and practice to a standard, things happened the way they should to get me out of there. As I'm laying there, I'm kind of praying that helicopters get there before the Taliban do. I hear the worst sound that I can hear at that time, another explosion, another Marine stepped on an IED, and I didn't even look. But at this time, I had two corpsmen working on me. One of them immediately just jumps up and runs over to him. And you're not supposed to do that, run through an uncleared minefield. But at that point in time, that Marine's life was more important to him than his own, and he just got up and took off. Next thing I know, my corpsman, he calls someone over to me because I'm a little bit more stable, and he gets up and he takes off. Still not clear, but he's running in the footsteps of the other guy just because that Marine's life was more important to him than his own. It was just amazing what these guys do. Next thing we know, the helicopters are inbound. This is where it gets hazy for me because my corpsman had given me some morphine, but as they're coming in, we start to get shot at. So this bad day that already got worse just got a little bit more worse. And the pilot, I don't know why or how, what decision was made, but he shouldn't come in and risk his aircraft getting shot. But as a pilot, he sees two Marines that need him, and he put our lives ahead of his own. And he came in, landed between myself, Lance Corporal Miller. They tossed us in there, and it took off. And then when it was about a 7-minute flight, and I'll always remember it. One, that's when I knew that I had lost my right leg, and two, as we were coming down, myself, Lance Corporal Miller, so it was his first deployment, young guy, 19 years old, same injury as me, same size IED, just different leg. As we're coming down, the crew chief starts to count down. He says, okay guys, you have 30 seconds until we land. 25 seconds, 20 seconds, and at that point, Matthew Miller looks over at me and he says, sir, you first, as in let them take you off the helicopter first. And I'll never forget that, because at that point, I was thinking about myself and my pain, and he, with the same amount of pain, was able to look around and be like, okay, what can I do for someone else at this point? And that's what he could do. And I thought that was so cool. That's character right there. And I use that today. I use that all the time because, you know, sometimes we get so involved of what's going on in my life that we forget to look around us, look at our family members, look at our friends, our coworkers, maybe our clients, and realize like everyone's got something. Like how can I do something for someone else? You know, that's what really matters. So that was kind of cool. But we landed, went into surgery. I woke up and I was missing my right leg below the knee. I had bandages all over my left leg and my arm, and I couldn't really sit up. I was in pain, but I was alive. And this starts the next journey. That was the hard part. Let's get to the good part, right? It's coming, I swear. My life changed that day, and I knew it. And change and challenge, when we go through change and challenge, like what we do, our response to that is going to influence our environment. It's going to influence the people around us. It is, in either a negative way or a positive way, and that's our choice. That's our choice. And I had some amazing people in my life that opened my eyes up to how I can make that a positive change. First person is my daughter. My daughter was 5 years old when I was in kindergarten. It's like this big, I think. And that was it. I'm like, man, first thing that came into my mind was, what a jerk. You know, why would you say that? But he knew what I needed to hear to get inspired and motivated and move forward past this and stop focusing on what I can't do, focus on what I can do. And that's when I set a goal to run an Ironman triathlon. Because truth is, at that time, Ironman, it seemed almost impossible. I didn't know how or when it was going to happen, but I knew that the journey was going to be special. I think when we set goals, it's important to set them high. Some stretch goals, some big goals, because that journey is what really matters. And there's always, when we're making decisions and setting goals, there's always a shortcut, and there's that hard path. It's going to take a little bit more time, a little bit more commitment, a little bit of sacrifice. And it's just those two paths don't meet in the same place. It's that hard path. That's what's going to lead to an accomplishment. So I set this goal to run an Ironman, and people started supporting me. It was just really, really cool experiences. I had an organization that got me set up to run my first triathlon. That's not it. No, this was me walking for the first time, which was pretty cool. That was a lot of fun. Walking for the first time, the second time. I remember this one, I didn't remember that first one. This is the triathlon. I got to go do a sprint triathlon, a small fraction of what an Ironman is. Recognize the dude on the right? Yeah, Heinz Ward. I don't know if you've got any Georgia Bulldog fans here, or Pittsburgh Steelers fans. It was cool for me. I'm from Pittsburgh, so I'm a huge Heinz Ward fan. He was on our team. He was actually like our team captain. So it was a cool experience for me. I got to hang out with Heinz Ward and train with him and race with him. I got free chocolate milk for an entire year. That was amazing. We had a coach in the middle, was Paula Newby-Fraser, 8-time Ironman world champ. Probably won like 28 Ironmans. Just an amazing wealth of knowledge. She looks very sweet in this picture. I'll just leave it there. She was a good coach, but again, she cared. You could tell that she cared about us because she worked us hard. And what she said from the start was, you need to be consistent. You need to be consistent. Day in and day out, even on the days that you don't want to do it. I'm going to rate your workouts, just get out there and do it. And the truth is, like, I wasn't a strong swimmer. But you don't have to be strong, you have to be consistent. You know? I wasn't a great biker, but you don't have to be great. You got to be consistent. I wasn't a very fast runner, but again, you don't have to be fast, you just have to be consistent. You have to do the work day in and day out if you want to reach your goal. And that was helpful. In the Ironman, it makes sense. If you don't do the training, you're not going to finish that race. There's going to be a really ugly day. But that translates to everything we do. At work, in our relationships, whatever we're doing, where we have goals, you have to be consistent if you want to be successful. Day in and day out, even on the days that you don't want to wake up at 4:30 to go swimming in the cold. You know, you gotta do it. My wife, my daughter, again, everyone needs to run a 5-year-old. She taught me another important lesson. And she opened my eyes to something negative that I was doing. When I was injured, I was given a handicap placard. And I threw it away because I was stubborn and had a lot of pride. And for some reason, 6 months later, they mailed me another one. I don't know if it was from the hospital or what, but I was living in San Diego and driving a truck, and there's not always a lot of parking, so it's like, let me hang on to this for a rainy day, right? I'll put it in my glove box, and every once in a while I use it on days that I felt like being handicapped. It's like, I don't feel like walking up this hill, I'll park handicapped today. And I was doing that for a little bit. And one day I was with Lupe, we were going to the store, we pull into the parking lot, and there's no parking anywhere, so I zip to the front of the store and I pull into the handicap let's go. And we get out and we start walking into the store. She says, Dad, what was that magic blue ticket? And I'm like, well, that, because I only have one leg, I can park in that spot. That's for people like me. Without missing a beat, she says, but Dad, you have 5 legs. Yeah, your running leg, your biking leg, your water leg, your walking leg, and your left leg. And I was like, yes, that is 5. I chuckle a little bit, I walk into the store, and I'm walking through the store, and I realize that I'm feeling guilty. I'm like, wow, I'm not setting a very good example. And I have nothing against handicap parking. But I ran 6 miles that day. I was training for an Ironman triathlon. Someone needed that spot more than me. I was just using my leg as an excuse when it was convenient for me. With more than just parking, with other things in my life, just an example, training. I was already training to go out on a run with some buddies, and if I couldn't keep up with them, it was because of my leg, right? It's because I have a prosthetic. You guys don't have to deal with this. I was holding myself back. That excuse was limiting my ability to reach my potential. And walking through the store the day, I promised myself I would never use this leg as an excuse again. When I race in my age group instead of the physically challenged category. I race against able-bodied athletes. And at first it was tough because I'm coming in towards the bottom of the pack, wanting to say, but it's because of this. But now I stopped doing it because I made that promise to myself, and then I started getting better. I came in towards the middle of the pack. Now I come in towards the top of the pack. And there's still guys in my age group that beat me, but it's not because of my leg, it's because they worked harder than me. And when I took on that mindset, that's when I got better. And I share this with you because we all have excuses. We all use excuses. And the next time you're going to use an excuse to get out of something, just ask yourself, what is this excuse? What is going to hold me back from reaching, right? And it was the most freeing thing that I've ever done. It's like I stopped using this. So it was helpful. Okay, let's get back to that Ironman. I was on the ground. I was in pain. I was not doing well. I couldn't get my leg on. Every part of me wanted to quit. But I didn't have to make that decision right then and there, whether I was going to quit or not, because that decision was made years ago. I wasn't allowed to quit growing up. There was one year playing the alto saxophone. My buddy quit the band, and I was like, hey, Mom, I'm going to quit. And she said, nah. I said, I'm going to quit. Maybe next year you could try something different. 10th grade, I wanted to quit football because it was hard, and I wasn't getting playing time. I was getting beat down. My dad didn't let me quit. I didn't get into the Naval Academy. I got a letter. It was late too. It was like April, my senior year, and it was a rejection letter. And I remember reading it, like, man, not what? My dad said, that doesn't mean anything. And I read it again, like, yeah, Dad, I think it means I can't go to the Naval Academy. You don't read that? And he says, nah, that means if you want to go to the Naval Academy, you just got to find another way there. And I did. I went to a year of prep school, and then I got accepted to the Naval Academy, so he taught me a lot. And I got hurt. I didn't quit. I wanted to be active. I didn't quit. So now sitting on the side of the road, can't get my leg on. I want to quit. Like it's a habit. I'm not going to quit. So that's a little habit that I knew. I didn't have to make that decision whether I was going to quit or not. I knew I was going to keep going. I didn't have to ask the question, am I going to finish this race? My question was, how am I going to finish this race? And when you're asking, how am I going to do something, you're in problem-solving mode. And when we're in problem-solving mode, that's when we're the most dangerous. So it's like, how am I going to do this? I knew I needed to get this leg on, so I leaned back and I held up my nub, Jason, and I just elevated it and let it sit back. I kind of squeezed it a little bit. I don't think that did anything, but I needed some of the fluid to come out of there. And at this point, like I had a finish line, too far to think of, but I could do one thing at a time to get closer to that finish line. I already ate a peanut butter sandwich. Now I'm getting this fluid, a little bit of fluid out of my leg, and I know it was go time. I said, okay, let's do this. And it was funny, as I was leaning back with my nub in the air, people would run by like, are you all right, man? I'm just like, yeah, what? I've never seen this before? That's weird. But I said, okay, let's do this. I grabbed my leg and I tossed it on. By toss, like I jammed it on. It didn't go all the way on, but the next thing I could do, I could stand up. So I stood up, a little bit crooked, because my leg wasn't all the way on. It's like, I think I could walk. So I started walking. And after about a quarter of a mile of walking, my limb pushed into that prosthetic and it was on. And that peanut butter and jelly sandwich started to kick in. So now I have energy, my leg's on, it hurt, but it was on. I have like a sleeve that a little silicone thing that you pull up over your thigh. Because when you're running and your leg falls off, that's a really bad day. So I pulled that thing up nice and high and I started going. And I'm jogging and it's ugly jogging. I'm still feeling kind of bad about myself. I'm I'm not meeting my time goal, but I'm going, and all of a sudden a dude pulls up next to me on a moped, and I look over, and it's a guy named Rock Fry, and I knew him because I had met him before, just a famous triathlete from back in like the 80s, and he says, Eric. I'm like, oh, that's cool, he knows my name. He says, hey dude, you look great. I'm like, I don't feel great. He's like, come on, you're upright, you're moving towards the finish line, that's awesome. He said, all you gotta do is a couple more hills, and then you're on your last mile. And I just remember that point, and I was like, yeah, that's kind of cool. I held my head a little higher. I was like, yeah, okay, I look great. And he heads off on that moped. That probably took 10 seconds for him to stop and do that. And as he's leaving on that moped, I'm thinking to myself, I wish I was on that moped, right? Right? But I'm like, that's kind of cool. That encouragement, that little piece of encouragement, something that took him 10 seconds. He could have drove right by, but he didn't. He took 10 seconds out of his life to encourage me, and that's something that I'm talking about 5 years from that day. And I think that's so cool, and that's something again that we can do each and every day. Each and every day, you see someone going through something, or it's easy, just a few words of encouragement. And so when we stop focusing just on us and think about the other people, man, we can really impact other people's lives just through little things. So I get this energy, and I'm like, okay, I'm feeling pretty good. I go up a couple hills and down a couple hills. I'm on the last mile, and I just take off. And I come busting across that finish line. I ran that last mile faster than any mile that day. I came busting across that finish line, 11 hours and 54 minutes. And I can't even put the emotions into words. It felt so good crossing that finish line. I answered the questions that I asked myself when I was sitting on the ground. Like, how did I get myself into this? Well, when I crossed that finish line, like, man, it felt so good. It was an accomplishment. I got myself into this because I wanted a challenge. Because I knew when you're challenged, that journey, you're going to grow, you're going to get better. In the 22 months that it took me to get to that Ironman and that finish line, man, I'll tell you, I met some amazing people, had some amazing opportunities, and it all started with a challenge. I'll embrace the challenges in our lives. And then two, who would ever do more than one of these things, right? Well, I had to get an IV immediately after because I shouldn't have sprinted that last mile. But after that IV, I was thinking to myself, I think I can go faster. Yeah, right. So I finished a goal. I think it's important when you accomplish a goal to celebrate it. But then what's next? Progression of goals. And to me, it's like, okay, I knew there were three amputees that had run a faster Ironman. So I set a goal to become the fastest amputee to run an Ironman. I've run 8 of these stupid things now. Still not the fastest amputee to run an Ironman. There's still one guy, and I'm getting close. So it's almost happened in November. It's definitely going to happen in July. And I'm going to close with, there was a kid that asked me once, there was a student, high school student, if I could go back to that day I was injured, what would I change? And right off the bat, I was like, I wouldn't step right there, that sucked, you know. But it's not what he was asking. I was like, okay, let me think about this. Think about it, like, I wouldn't change a thing. I wouldn't want to go through the pain again, but man, it's been an amazing journey with opportunities that helped me grow. I've matured. I've recognized my priorities. When I stepped on that IED, there was a few brief moments that I thought there might be a chance that I was dying. 2 thoughts went through my head. First, going to heaven, and 2, thought about my wife and my daughter. My faith and my family. Those are the 2 things that I thought of when I thought I might be dying. Those must be the 2 most important things in my life. I didn't think about my mortgage or my car or my shoes. I thought about my faith and my family. Those are my priorities. And I had to ask myself, am I living according to my priorities? And I needed to make some rudder steers to get on track. But I challenge you to really look at yourself and figure out what are your priorities and ask yourself, are you living according to your priorities? And if not, make some rudder steers. They don't have to be the same priorities as me, but it's good to have purpose and direction. And last thing, guys, I challenge you with just take one thing from this conference, maybe something that I said, maybe something that's been on your mind, maybe something that you see someone else doing. Just take one thing and implement it into your life, whether it's a more positive attitude or setting a goal or overcoming a challenge, whatever it is, just one thing. If you take too many, it's not sustainable, but if just next year, here, or wherever you guys are going to meet, if you're in the same place that you are now, you didn't do that. Always be the student. Always look to develop. Always look to grow into a bigger, better version of you because you deserve it and the people around you deserve it. Thank you so much for laughing at some of my jokes, and thank you so much for everything. I appreciate your time.